I am a certified school psychologist.
Hi, Dr. Umar. I'm so happy that you're my principal. I love FDMG. Can you tell me about the school?
We are going to make history. We are going to shock the world. We are going to transform the entire community, one black boy at a time. In this school, you don't have to worry about special education. In this school, you don't have to worry about ADHD diagnoses. In this school, you will never get a phone call from a teacher or an administrator telling you that your child needs dangerous psychiatric medication in order to get an education.
Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning on in. Apologize for the delay. We're gonna get into it. Quick first chat, undefeated. Let's go.
FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. It's coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. It's 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 coming. Oh, it's coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. Thought its personality be twerking. It's twerking.
All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning on in. I appreciate it. A bit of an impromptu live stream. I probably could have done this last night, but I got home late from work and I was just so tired. I'm still tired right now. In fact, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. That's how tired I am. Thank y'all so much. Everyone saw the quick fresh chat. I appreciate your presence. My schedule is going to be changing though soon. My children are going to be going back to school, so my plan is to live stream whenever I can during the week while they're at school. I just got to work things out with my work schedule, but they will be going back to school soon. There's a lot to get into. We're behind on the Umar content. Good crush chat. We're so behind, and there's lots to get into. Umar's been very active, but the truth of the matter is that he's no more closer to opening up a school this year than he was last year, this year than he was 2 years ago, this year than he was 3 years ago. To be fair, he has progressed a bit since 2019, February of 2019, but that's 5.5 years later. Very little work has been done on these abandoned buildings. And one of the things I just want everyone to be clear about with Umar, at this point, FDMG, well, let me say this, it's not going to open. So anyone who believes that he's going to have an accredited school, he's already admitted that it won't be accredited. He plans on charging the children $500 a month. That's an impoverished community. There are 2 schools within a mile away, public schools within a mile away that children can go to for free that are really in really good condition. And there's a third one being built, and they plan on opening it up. It's within a 1 mile radius of what Umar calls FDMG, these abandoned buildings in Wilmington, Delaware. Now, this new school, they built it from the ground up. It's supposed to be opening in the fall of this year. This is truly state of the art. Not these trap bandos in Wilmington, Delaware that's been sitting that are on the vacant property list. Not these abandoned buildings that obviously are in a dilapidated state. Not these abandoned buildings in Wilmington, Delaware that Umar calls a school. These are abandoned buildings that back in 2009, the foundation failed inspection. I haven't talked about that in such a long time, but I put together a timeline on my community tab here on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, go look at that. These are abandoned buildings today, but there is a brand new school that they built from the ground up that is over there within a 1 mile radius of FDMG, and it's free. So let me be clear about this, Rico Jackson. How's it going, Holly B? That first of all, there's not going to be a school, but even if somehow Umar was able to open up an accredited school, faculty and staff, the operating budget would have to be $3.54 million a year at least. No one's going to, people can't even afford to pay $5 million a month in that community per child when their child can go to a state-of-the-art school with faculty and staff that's not a one-man show for free. So it's a lost cause. But the point I want to make here is that understand that Umar, at this point, he only pulls out the FDMG card when he needs money. That's it. There is no school. He knows there will be no school. He knows that he won't have faculty and staff. He knows that he has all these bills that are past due, $20-something thousand. I think it was $21,000 in vacant property fees and other fees associated with the abandoned buildings alone. There's other stuff too that he hasn't paid, but we're not going to get into that right now. He will pull out FDMG when he needs money. That's it. And he's homeless right now, literally. Can't stay in his mama closet anymore. But when he needs money, he will pull it out. Otherwise, he doesn't talk about it. Otherwise, he doesn't bring it up. Otherwise, he's not giving people updates. If we took out the 4 days of painting that he did over the last, over the last 3, maybe 4 months, this year, Umar has been up there maybe 12 times. That's like once a month. Just show up there to go ask for money, and then he leaves. Ain't nothing getting done up there. So let's be clear about that. And I want to someone posted this, and I want to read this because this is so very true. Because everything, it always catches up to you. Everything catches up with you. And as we get older, you guys on so many different levels. If we don't take good care of ourselves, I'm talking about physically, it's going to catch up to us. Trust me. I mean, I need to start jogging. I'm starting to put on weight, face getting fat. Okay, but you got to take care of yourself. You know, if you're not handling business, everything's going to come back to you, good or bad. If you're handling business, it's going to come back to you in a good way. If you've been fairly healthy throughout your life, it's going to come back to you in a positive way. Okay, so let's be clear about this. Everything catches up with you. And with Umar, and I'm speaking as an older person, and some of y'all older too, so you know what I'm talking about. But Umar, this FDMG school scam has caught up to him. And I want to read this right quick because this is so very true. Sporty D said, Umar slowly losing all of his people. He burning all of his bridges. And you're absolutely right. Most of the people that were around back in February of 2019, they're not around anymore. Many of the people that were rah-rah Umar Johnson and defending him and attacking Umar Johnson critics, including they were attacking me too, they're not around anymore. And this today, what we're going to get into, and I want to live stream a little bit later on in the evening too. So if y'all interested, let me know. Because we got to start getting caught up on this Umar Johnson foolishness. We're behind. A lot of the people that were around back then, they're not around anymore. And now here we have today, and I haven't watched the video yet, but people have been talking about it, and people sent me emails. Thank you so much. People sent me emails about it, that there's some sort of a fallout between Father David and Umar Johnson. Father David has been rah-rah Umar Johnson for a long time. He's on his radio show many times. He's always talking about the FDMG rock. But I told people, this was a while ago. I told people, I think Father David is trolling Umar at this point because he even knows that this is nothing more than a scam. Most of the people that were around back in 2019, by this point, they know that it's a scam because it's 5.5 years by now. A lot of the people that were around back in 2014 with the St. Paul school scam, they're not around anymore because they realize the truth. Many of the people that were around in 2005, back in UNIA days, when Umar conceptualized this idea about opening up a school for Black boys, they most definitely ain't around anymore. And back in 2010, when he said the school was going to open in 2013, a lot of those people ain't around anymore. And some of the people, there are people who are still around who they listen to his message on other topics. But when it comes to opening up a school, which is what he promised and which he has collected millions of dollars for, they know that he's nothing more than a charlatan. I've been telling people for such a long time, hit the one. I don't mean to be arrogant, and I got to be careful because it's very easy to get that way online, especially when you got people watching your videos and stuff. I've always tried my best to stay humble. But I need some credit right now because I've been telling people for such a long time. And the fact that there are so many people who don't even follow Umar anymore that were rah-rah Umar, defending Umar and attacking people because they were Umar critics. They were attacking Umar critics because they were trying to defend Umar. A lot of those people aren't around. And I told people a long time ago that this was exactly what's going to happen because everything catches up to you in the end. Umar, you're homeless. And I know you're watching these videos, so let me say this directly to you. You're homeless, and yet You have the nerve to talk shit about everyone all the time. He even did his top 5 coons. That's a racial epithet. No one talks more shit about black people than Umar Johnson. I'm gonna repeat it. No one talks more shit about black people than Umar Johnson. And I messed it up, so I'm gonna repeat it one more time, 3 times. If I do that 3 times. No one on the planet Earth, and I said it, talks more shit about black people than Umar Johnson. He demeans, disrespects, and demolishes black people at every single turn. Rarely do you hear him talk about white people or white supremacy unless I bring it up on this show, and then he starts talking about it. Or like we did that show about Umar and his contradictions. Now this guy, all he wanted to do is talk about contradictions because he watches these videos and he's a total hypocrite, he's contradictory all over the place. And you're homeless, bro. You got a homeless man who wants to criticize all these successful black people all around the world, and he's homeless. And when he wasn't homeless, he was living in his mama closet. He ain't got no job. He a deadbeat, don't take care of his kids. He's not an active participant in his children's lives. He's been keeping up on his child support more recently, but that's because we've been on him about that. So I give him credit for that. But he said he paid his child support in bulk. I can pull it up. Living off of his mama under his mama's skirt. What kind of man? And yet got every bit of nerve fiber inside of him to talk shit and demean and disrespect black people at every single turn. That's Umar. And for whatever reason, black people like that. But you know, this is something I've noticed, and I've been on the planet enough. I've noticed this. See, it's one thing to criticize someone and you have receipts. It's another thing to just be talking shit. And for whatever reason, black folk, let me not say it that way. There's a lot of black people who like to hear people like Umar talk shit about black people. And many of them talk that black conscious talk, but you listen to carefully, all of it is talking shit about black people. You let Umar be a white man, and all of a sudden he's a white supremacist and he's the worst person on the planet. He shouldn't be talking like that, and he's racism and this and blah, blah, blah. But Umar says that somehow he get a pass. Living it, well, he ain't living in mama closet. He's living in hotel rooms at this point again. But this is absolutely true. Before we get into the show, arrogant people says Baba David, a.k.a. throw. yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, okay? But we're not going to get into that now. Thanks, arrogant people, for the super chat. And I'm sorry, Io Jojo said I had snacks. I already ate my damn snack. I apologize. I was so late today. I was so late. But my schedule, I'll be changing my schedule around work schedule. So I want to be able to live stream during the week at certain points and be more consistent. Like I've been saying, I want to start a series on Jay Morrison and expand content. And then I have some other ideas too. I just got to run them by my wife first, because there's going to be a financial investment that's going to need to go into that. And she agrees, and I'll go ahead with it. If she doesn't, then I won't. Okay. I feel like I got too much light coming in here. Let me pull this blind down. Maybe that might help. It's just really pretty when you look out these windows. I like to look out. Carl Weather says, hey, like Umar or not, the commercial was nice. Yeah, that was the FDMG commercial. Well, that was wild. I remember that first came out. It was crazy. Thank you so much, member, for Malik for becoming a member, and everyone else, members. I haven't been active. Like I basically took last week off, but I'll have content up for you guys. Matter of fact, and I meant to do this last night. There's a lot of the Umar Johnson videos that I have for public right now. A lot of those are going to be put over to members only. In fact, I'll do that tonight. Yeah, I need to get my, I don't know where my notepad is at, but I'll put on here member videos. But there's a whole bunch of member videos up there anyway. So if you're a new member, you got plenty of stuff to get into. But I need to, let's see, place videos, public videos over, and not all of them, but a lot of them over to members only. And if you'd like to become a member, there's a join button listed down below these videos. You just click on that button, become a member. We do live streams, member live streams as well. I started a series for members only where we're talking about misogyny, sexism, and the objectification of women, in particular black women, as expressed by Umar Johnson. That's a really, really good series. And there's at least 2 more videos that I want to get to in that series before we finish that series out. To members only. Okay. All right, I'll get that done tonight. Okay, and then also Iceman Vamp says FDMG is coming, but it won't be accredited and it won't be school. That's how I say it. People be clowning me on that. And you're right, Iceman Vamp. Umar Johnson followers, if you don't know this, I'll tell you right now that Umar already admitted that the school will not be accredited. I can pull up the video. I can pull it up. And matter of fact, quick question, we covered the video. I think we covered it twice by now because I brought it up over and over again. But we did a whole live stream just to talk about that. Umar claimed, he stated, this was maybe a year and a half ago. He stated maybe 2 years that the school was not going to be accredited. So what that means is that you're going to send your child to this school, and in some cases you're going to be out of state, so they're going to be catching buses. They're going to have to get up 3 in the morning to catch the bus at 4 to get to school by start time, and you're going to be paying $500 a month. And for that $500 a month, it won't be accredited. And Umar's also stated that if you don't have the teachers, if you don't have a degree, we'll still work with you and blah blah. We can work around. Okay, so basically, you have people who are not do not have the credentials to function as a school teacher, as it were, in the public school system. If it was charter, public, what have you. But at Umar's school, he's just going to have anybody he wants to come through, as long as you, I guess. Well, let me not even get into that right now. Okay. So the point is that when your child graduates, and understand that your child won't graduate if you put your child in the first year, which was I think Umar said that he's going to start with 4th and 5th graders, I believe, or 4th through 6th, something like that. I can't remember what it was. The point is that it's going to be at least 6 or 7 years before they have their first graduating class. So after 6 or 7 years of paying $500 a month, when your child finally graduates in 2057. The diploma that he hands out will have no significance whatsoever. And so people, they can say, well, then how is a child going to get into college? Well, they would have to either get their GED or they'll have to go do testing outside of school. They have to do testing in order to see whether or not they would qualify to academically to be inside of a college. That's what would have to happen. So Iceman Vamp, this is a statement of fact, and I can pull up the video, and there's been people who've criticized and said, you're always saying that you can pull it up, but you don't. Well, that's because a lot of it we've already covered. Just get into the archive. As members, there's a large archive there. In some cases, in the public stuff that's out there right now that I have on my YouTube page, a lot of information, a lot of the videos I've already shown. And for me, reshowing it, the shows would be 5, 6, 7 hours each. So it's more of being proficient and using my time, in a meaningful way. So instead of covering the same topics over and over again, playing the same videos over and over again, which I do sometimes, I'll bring up old videos and I'll show them just to provide the proof. Trust and believe that when I say something about Umar, that is factual and that I have receipts to back it up. And in this case, thank you so much, Iceman Vamp, for the super chat, but also thanks for bringing this up. It is a statement of fact that Umar already stated that the school was not going to be accredited. Okay, I don't get it. I really don't get it. So, and what I mean by this, I don't understand why there are people who still believe Umar. Umar is a habitual liar too. That's part of the problem. He lies all the time. I mean, I can pull up any video of Umar Johnson and we can watch it. It no matter which one. We can just pull it up. And I mean, good course, you can say, you can tell me what video. I can pull it up and we can watch it, and I will. That's a lie right there. That's a lie right there. He's lying he's saying that lie to cover up this lie, and on and on and on. It don't matter which video it is. He's a habitual liar. I don't get it at this point why there are people, for one, who believe that he's going to open up a school. See, it's if he does something, it won't be accredited. It'll just be some Pookie Ray Ray shit. But the other thing is that a lot of what he says, people buy into it, and he doesn't provide any resources, material. He can't quote anybody. He just be making up off the top of his head bullshit. And people fall for it. Now, I'm not saying that he lies all the time, 100%. No, that's not what I'm saying. I've always been fair with Umar. But what I'm saying is that if you listen to someone who consistently lies, then at some point you're going to have to wake up and say, hey, wait a minute. Matter of fact, let me do this now, because it's been bothering me, and it's going to open up criticism. I get it, but I have to do this. A couple of live streams ago, and part of it is because I shouldn't give you guys an excuse. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to give you an explanation after I tell you of what I did, which I shouldn't have done. Okay? And this is just how I am. I don't like people who lie, or even if they misrepresent the truth, or if they don't tell the whole truth. And that's what I did. I didn't tell the whole truth. Someone had asked me, Lenon, do you vote? And I said, yes. And the truth of the matter is that as it pertains to the presidential elections, I've never voted in my life. Now, why would I? So there's other stuff that I voted for, but that's not the point that I'm getting at. Because in the context that we were talking about, they didn't say specifically, do you vote for the presidential elections? But I should have been forthright and just said it as I stated just now. I should have said, no, I've never voted for the presidential elections. Now, it's bothered me that I didn't answer with clarity to that degree. And I asked myself, why didn't you just say that? And you should have just said it that way. Okay, some people are like, it's not a big deal. You have that right. You have a right to vote. You have a right not to vote. Okay, but yeah, but still, I should have been 100% and told y'all just straight out. Listen, and from my vantage point, the way I looked at it when I thought, I said, why did you do that? You know, because it was really bothering me. I said, you know, you can't, you know, you just shouldn't do that. You have to be 100% honest. And if you're going to be talking about anyone else and they're not being honest, how can you get up and talk? And so this is my way of fixing this. And I asked myself, why didn't you just say that you've never voted in the presidential elections? And I was thinking, I said, well, it was probably because if I said that, then it would open me up to even more criticism. Because there are people who have made a conscious decision not to vote for the presidential elections or for other types of elections, as it were. And then people just jump on them all the time. Oh, well, you ain't voting and blah, blah, blah. But then on the other hand, there's people who vote. And then there's other people say, well, you shouldn't be voting and blah, blah. Well, that's like how Umar is. He demeans people who actually decide to vote. Okay. I have a right to, and I have a right not to. And if I went back into my history and I thought about it and I said, well, a lot of it has to do with when I was in the conspiracy theory paradigm. I didn't believe that the government was the answer to anything. And on some levels, I still don't believe that the government is the answer to a lot of the problems that we face as a society, or as Black people, if you will, to be more specific. Okay. But that being said, that's still not an excuse for me not to say and state it clearly, which was the truth. The truth is that I've never voted for the presidential election. Now, this year, will I vote? Maybe. But I want to apologize to people for not being forthright in my answer. It was a couple of live streams ago. Okay, I hope you guys will forgive me. And if I'm going to hold other people accountable, I have to hold myself accountable as well. Okay, so I apologize for that. All right. It's been bothering me too, because some people wouldn't give a shit, like, oh, whatever. But I was just like, no, you should. Okay. All right. That being said, okay, let's get into the show for today. And thanks again, Iceman Vamp. J-Rock says, when do you think that the walls cave in on Umar? J-Rock, I think they've already caved in on Umar. That's one of the reasons why I was alluding to the fact that Umar doesn't really talk about FDMG, not like he used to. If you guys remember back in the day, Umar was always talking about FDMG. He would talk about it all the time because he was getting so much money. He doesn't get the type of money that he got back then, but that's the walls caving in too. People don't support him on this FDMG school scam like they once did. They just don't do it. I remember recently he went to the post office where he has his P.O. box, and he was looking through some mail, and he was saying, this is a donation, this is a donation, this is a bill, this is a bill. And then he paused and he pulled out something, and he was looking at it, and I was like, that's not a good letter. That's what I said in my mind. Something's going on. Because you guys should remember, y'all remember the reaction, hit the one in the Cook Fresh chat. And I'm sure that he's received a lot of different legal paperwork, legal documents, documents from the court, documents from different agencies. More recently, he said that his passport, that he can't use his passport right now. And that it's something, he said this is being held or something like that. And but he doesn't explain why. He says, I don't know why. But no, I think he does know why. I think he's already got paperwork on that. See, and if you have back taxes at a certain level, they will. It's not even called revoke your. I don't know what the term is, but you won't. You just can't use your passport. The same thing applies when you don't pay your child support. They will revoke your license, your driver's license. And they've done that with Umar at least 2 times. I believe it was 3 times. You see, so the walls have already been caving in with Umar. And we can see that just in terms of what has happened, that we see it in video format with over these years dealing with Umar. But can you imagine what stuff has happened behind the scenes that Umar doesn't want to talk about as it relates to these trap banners in Wilmington, Delaware? So when it comes to this school scam, the walls have been caving in for a long time. It's just like it's only a matter of time. You can't hold up a facade forever, and everything catches up to you in the end. And I'll dare say that at this point, Umar knows that there will never be an accredited FDMG, that there's never going to be a functional school. He knows that he hasn't put in the proper paperwork for any of the renovation. Well, I shouldn't say that, for the vast majority of the quote unquote renovations that has occurred up there at this point. And as a consequence, when they come to inspect these buildings, they're going to need to be able to pull these permits to say, okay, this work that was done, it was done professionally. And there is going to be a substantial amount of work that was done up there that were in proper permits were not put in with the city. And therefore he won't be able to pass. He won't pass inspection. You can't just have Pookie and Ray Ray do stuff like that. Just come on through, do this and do that. That's walls caving in. Umar already knows that. See, it's just a matter of time. It reminds me of when Umar received, and then we're going to get into the show. It reminds me when Umar received the cease and desist letters from the state of Philadelphia. And they were telling him that he hadn't filed the proper paperwork with the government agency in order to continue to collect donations. Okay, the cease and desist finally appears online, but the truth of the matter is that y'all don't think that Umar knew that was coming down the pipe at a certain point? He knew that way in advance. It's not like it just happens overnight. No, there's paperwork that they'll send you. It's used in letter format from the IRS because that's how they communicate for the vast majority of the time. And Umar knew in advance, but he did not want to. This is what I think. I think he didn't want to put in the proper paperwork because then there has to be a level of transparency when it comes to the money. And see, and if he's ever truly audited when it comes to the money, even though he said that he was audited, but never provided any proof that he was audited. So I don't believe anything that he has to say. He has no conscience. See, now I didn't tell the whole truth, and it just bothered me. It was bothering me this whole weekend. You know, it was bothering me towards the end of last week, and I just felt so bad about it. But Umar doesn't have a conscience like that. He can tell a flat out lie to people, and it's like whatever. So can you imagine of all the things that have happened dealing with this FDMG paperwork stuff, dealing with the government, dealing with the city of Wilmington, dealing with the state of Pennsylvania that Umar hasn't talked about and that he knows about right now that's coming down the pike and it's going to be public record at some point? See, the walls have already caved in on this guy. See, and he knows it. And that's why these days he doesn't really bring up FDMG like he used to. And then when people bring it up, like in an interview format, I don't know if they bring it up inside this video we're going to watch today, but when people bring it up, you see how Umar reacts. If you guys go back to 2019, he was raw. Yeah, 2020. Yeah, FDMG's coming. By 2021, going into 2022, people like, nah, bro. And you just see. And since that time, he doesn't talk about it quite like he used to, but that's because the walls they've already caved in. It's just a matter of time. Okay. All right. Thanks for super chat, J Rock. 1264. And then a lady says, you were raised Jehovah's Witness. No, yes, this is part of it too. I don't want to get into that right now, lady, but you're absolutely right about that. That has had a heavy influence on me on different levels, including voting. Was that I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness from the time I was born until probably around, I want to say probably about, well, by the time I was 14, 15, I was just like, this ain't for me, you know, and I never believed in it, but you know, you go because, you know, your mama make you go. Right. But they don't believe in a lot of different things. I don't know if it's the same these days, but back then, you know, this is probably a big part of it. I just hadn't thought about this. But back then, they didn't encourage people to vote. There was a time when Jehovah's Witness didn't encourage people to go to college or to buy homes or any of that stuff because they have this idea that Armageddon was coming. I can't remember what year they initially said. I think it was 1914, 15 or 13 or something like that. But it didn't happen. Obviously, we're still here. And then they changed the date and it didn't happen. And there's people, Jehovah's Witnesses, who actually they sold off all their property because they felt that they believed that Armageddon was coming, or they decided, you know, we don't know no point in going to college, you know, none of that stuff. But as the truth be told, Armageddon didn't come because we're still here. But it just goes to show you the influence. So you're not supposed to vote and all these different types of things. That's a huge part of it too. I just hadn't thought about it. Yeah. Thanks, a lady, for the super chat as well. Okay. Let's get into the show, everyone. I appreciate everyone's presence. And there's so much that we need to get into. Wow, we got 853 people here. That's awesome. How's it going, beautiful Bernice? I hope you're doing all well. 844, right? He says, hello, Lenon. Thanks for watching. Please, yeah, if y'all hit the like button, I appreciate it. And again, I've been thinking about this. There's some other things that I've been planning on doing. I got to talk to my wife about it. I mentioned it like maybe about 2 months ago, but there'd be a financial investment in order to get started with that, just to expand on the content here on YouTube. And to do more, and then to do more during the day once these kids go back to school. There's so much I would like to share with y'all because, you know, there's been a lot of changes, especially since we moved, actually before we moved, and positive changes. And it's just that these days I don't share much about personal life because it's I've had to deal with a lot dealing with Umar followers and stuff. So I had to pull back on that. But I do want to say that there's some wonderful opportunities coming down the line here, and I'm hoping that I can actually expand this content here on YouTube and do some more different topics, but then also do some more creative stuff that I've been interested in wanting to do for some time. Anyway, thank y'all so much for being here. Okay, Swirl, how's it going? Thank you for so much for being here. Pierre says I'm a descendant of Joe Jackson. I am too. Wow, I'm wow. How's it going, LaJuan? Thanks for tuning on in. Someone said not to be disrespectful. It's all false, Doc. Well, obviously the idea of Armageddon, it's just a horrible way of looking at life, you know. And I mean, this is another topic for another time. But the programming itself, it really it can mess up someone, and especially a child that internalizes a lot of things. And I was one of those kind of types of children that internalize things. It's like, what's the point if everything gonna go to shit anyway? What's the point, you know? But that's another topic for a whole nother time. Okay. So yeah. You remember that, T? Umar was going through that paperwork. He was like, that's a bill. He put it on you. That's a bill. And then he's got something. He was like, I said, okay. Yeah, I know it'll be a good time. I know there's probably some JWs inside of the chat room too, and maybe we can do it where we can do a call-in show and we can talk about our experiences. I remember the first time I was called a nigga was by Joe Witness. I remember we was at this park because they would have these gatherings because you really weren't supposed to talk to anyone and socialize with anyone who was quote unquote worldly. They're of the world. And so they would have events every once in a while for people who were JWs to come, and they'd function at a park or a potluck, that kind of thing. There was a function at a potluck. There was a guy who was newer to the quote, they called it a congregation. He was a newer dude, as a white dude. And I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. And I was standing by this tree. I don't even know what I was doing. I was probably eating something. And he says, look at that nigger over there. And I looked, and, you know, it bothered me. But then on the other hand, I was like, I was a kid, like, okay, whatever, you know. And so I went to one of the quote unquote, what they call the elders, because everything you go through the elders. It's a trip how this stuff works too. And talk with the elder about it and told him what the guy said. And the elder pulled the guy to the side, says, no, we don't talk like that. We shouldn't use that word, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's another topic from another time. All right, so let's get into it. Here's the first video right here. This is or the video for today. This was an interview that appeared yesterday. I want to thank the person there's 2 people who sent me links to this. Thank you so much. And this is Father David. Father David has been a staunch supporter of Umar Johnson for many years and has had him on his radio show many, many times. The other thing I want to say is that the audio on this is a bit loud. So when I play it, if it's a lot louder than my voice, let me know and I can turn it down inside of the interface right here. Okay, here we go.
Sir, can you hear me, Baba Day?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm live and direct from Eastern Michigan University, Ypsilanti, Michigan, about 30 minutes from Detroit, where I keynoted the Black Consciousness.
Yeah, but it's interesting. There, a lot of the what they call high demand religions, a lot of it is the same. A lot of it is the same, and not necessarily the doctrine. Even though a lot of the doctrine is based on biblical references or interpretations, I should say. But a lot in and Joe Witness was a high demand religion. Any high demand religion, there's certain things you'll see over and over again. Because I remember like we would have to go to like 4 days a week. There would be something to do or something to do with the congregation. So as an example, the schedule would change from time to time. But I remember Mondays was the main day to go to what they call the Kingdom Hall. That would be like the church, and you would be there for like maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. That would be on Monday. And then on Thursday, that would be what they would call, I think they called it book study. Yeah, book study. And that's when they had a lot of literature, and you would go to someone's house, and everyone in your neighborhood that's part of the congregation, which is a larger community, right? Everyone that's surrounding that particular person's that neighborhood, they would go to that, and you would be there for like maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And then Saturday you had field service, and that's where you would go. And I don't know if they do. I don't even think they do this anymore. But that's when you would go out to different people's houses and you would sell magazines. It's child labor too, but it's free labor. It's like a form of slavery because you don't get paid for it, but you sell these magazines, and this is the way to not only bring in money for the church or the Kingdom Hall, but it's also a way of recruiting new people, right? But you do it for free, right? So I remember I used to hate that because Saturday mornings, I don't know if they even have this these days, but I remember we was kids, Saturday mornings, that was the day that because all the cartoons would come on in the morning time. Y'all remember that? You go to school and Saturday could roll around, you watched the cartoons. Y'all remember that? But we couldn't even do that because we had to be out there in field service, be hot shit. It was just horrible. We had to dress up. It's a bunch of bullshit. Having the children out there like that's crazy. No disrespect, no disrespect to anybody, but come on now, let the children live. You know what I'm saying? So that would be Saturday. And so that could be another 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours. And then you can also do more than that. And then you would get a certain position, classification in the church because you're doing auxiliary work. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm sorry, I apologize. We're almost done with this. Then we're going to get to and then on Sunday, you have another gathering. And that's like the main, I think Sunday was the main meeting. And that would be like another 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. So you add all that up and then you look at this for over the course of a week. That's a lot of time taken away from other things that could be done. The children could do other things. We were discouraged from doing any extracurricular activities, like you couldn't go out and join a basketball league or a football league or any of that kind of stuff. Everything was like everything outside the church was considered to be of the world. There's terminology. I can't remember what the terminology was. And they don't know the truth. So we can't be a part of that because it's, and that's demon. They called it was demonized. This was demonized. Some cartoons were demonized. These high demand religions. And it has a huge impact on children. It really does. And I hadn't thought about it lately, but it's true. Even the idea of voting, when I think about it, a lot is a childhood program because we were dissuaded from even participating in the political process. Okay. All right. What's up, information, man? Yeah. It was social programming. Yeah. All damn. You right. Yeah, I couldn't watch Woody Woodpecker. Pioneer work. That's what it was called. I done forgot. Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. Let's move on. Especially the Smurfs. The Smurfs, that was the ultimate demonic. I don't know why. Probably because they were doing the magic and stuff, inside. Anyway. All right. Yeah, the apostates, but then if you did anything wrong, you would be disfellowshipped, and that was the worst thing. I remember this one guy, he got disfellowshipped because he was cheating on his wife, and his wife was fine. I can remember her to this day. I mean, I was a kid, but I was like, that lady is fine than a mother. I could think of her right now. I mean, and I was a kid, but she was older. They was probably, I don't know, maybe in their early 30s. And I remember that he got this fellowship for that, and her dad was a what do they call that? Her dad was an elder in the church at the Kingdom Hall. And they came down hard on him. He got this fellowship. And I remember they told him and told all the business in front of the whole, they got up and told all his business. And he was sitting over there looking like this. I felt bad for him. But on the other hand, I said, you stupid, man. All the kids like, what are you going to cheat on her for? That's crazy. Anyway. All right, let's get into it. And I remember one time, and this is going to be the last one that we're going to get into. We got about almost 950 people. I got to tell you this one other story because to this day, it bothers me. If stuff's not right, like I said, I didn't give a 100% answer that I wanted, that I should have given. And it just bothered me like this whole weekend. I just felt horrible about it. But I remember there was this one guy, because we used to go to his house to do the book studies. It was on Thursdays. And I remember I remember where that house was at, because I don't remember that house. I remember the other family, because there was this one it wasn't that many black people in the church at that time when I was a kid. But I remember this, we used to go to it was this black couple, and they had 2 sons. One's name was James. I can't remember what the other guy's name was. But it was crazy because when you were in book study, oftentimes what they would do is people would read the text. So it wouldn't be one person reading all the text. It was like they would go around the room, and they would have chairs set up and stuff. It'd be like in a den, chairs set up. And James's father, he stuttered a lot. I can't remember what his name was, but he would stutter. And so every time as a kid, every time that we would get to him, I'd be like, oh, here we go. I don't mean to laugh, but it's just something that a memory that came up. But he would get up there and he would start reading the text, and he would just stutter over and over again. And it would take so long just to get through one sentence. But that's not even the point. I just want to bring this other thing up, that there was this one, at one point we went to this other guy's house, and he was gay. Now, and at least back then, that was a no-no. Even talking about like people being homosexual back then, even outside of the church, just like in general, it was a no-no. I had a really good friend in 6th grade. He was real, kind of girly. And then later on, he was a best friend of mine too. Later on, he was gay. It was clearly to everyone, but we didn't care because I'd known him since 6th grade. It was like 11th and 12th grade. So yeah, okay, he's definitely gay. He had a gay boyfriend, all that. So I couldn't stand his boy, but the boy would get on my nerves. Lenon, hey, like, man, if you don't leave me alone, it's the only reason why I even talked to you, because my homeboy when I was in 6th grade. Anyway, the guy that was we went to his house for the book study. He was clearly gay. It's just back then he didn't talk about it. It was always hush hush. These days it's a lot more open and people are more receptive to it. And especially the new generation. I notice with my kids, they don't trip off of it like we should trip off of it. We should trip off of it all the time. But it's a different world that we live in. And we used to go to this guy's house, and clearly he was gay. But I remember they had called him to them. It was on a Sunday. It was the main day at the Kingdom Hall. And they called this guy up. He was a white guy. He was kind of short. I mean, I was short because I was a kid, and they called him up, and they walked him up to the podium. And they were like, he such and such. Let's say his name was I don't know, Bob. They said Bob has something he wants to tell everyone. And it was real like weird, like what's going on here? And it was like kind of tense. And he gets up and he goes up to the mic in a real timid voice, and he starts to explain how he struggles with being gay or being homosexual, but that he's not living a gay lifestyle, and that he's not going to participate in it anymore. And the level of shame in his voice. And even as a child, I said, this is fucked up. And his head was down like this, and he's talking into a microphone. And I said, even as a child, I said, that ain't right. That it just was, and it sticks with me to this day. It still bothers me they did that guy like that. Just wrong. But the high demand religions, at the end of the day, it comes down to love. And if you love people because of who they are, not because of their sexuality or because of the color of their skin. You love people for who they are. I told my kids a long time ago, I said, listen, if you're gay or if you happen to be lesbian or if you happen to be bi, I don't give a shit. What I want for you is a loving relationship, whether it's heterosexual, if it's homosexual, if it's that's what I want for you. And I told them that long time ago. I stick to it to this day, because my job is not to criticize them or demean them or disrespect them because they may at some point, or even gay, lesbian, whatever. That's not my job. My job is to love you for who you are and guide you accordingly. Now, I know this isn't the topic that we meant to get into today, but because we brought up someone that brought up the Jehovah's Witnesses and how I was raised a Jehovah's Witness up to a certain point. And I got into the high demand religions, and how they did this gay guy was totally wrong. I don't think that it's extraordinary either. Because at the end of the day, if you believe in God, then you must understand that we're all God's children. And I believe that. Regardless of race, regardless of religion, even, regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of your political affiliation. How about that? That's one other reason I'm not into politics. A lot of that it's just political gangbanging. You don't give a shit about this person's policy, but just because they're Democrat or just because they're Republican, you're going to follow. But that's just political gangbanging. Anyway, let's get into the show. Okay, so here's the video for today, and this appeared yesterday. And again, thank you all so much, everyone, for tuning on in. Thanks for being patient with me as I go on my rant today. All right, we had a couple of new members to join today. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the lead attorney's paralegal. Thank you so much for tuning on in. Lead attorney, yeah, just like a lead detective. Anyway, here we go.
Conference yesterday and the day before. Yes, sir. Can you hear me, Baba Day?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm live and direct from Eastern Michigan University, Ypsilanti, Michigan, about 30 minutes from Detroit, where I keynoted the Black Consciousness Conference yesterday and the day before.
Okay. What was your message?
My message was solidarity, My message was, don't be emotionally co-opted by either presidential candidate. It is not enough to vote for Donald Trump because he is talking about doing something economically for African people. Let us remind ourselves that while he was president for 4 years, he did very little.
I don't mean to pause it, but you're right. It is crazy. And I don't know if it is but people been saying that he got a new iPhone 13 Pro Max. It is crazy. He ain't got no job. I'm like, man, my phone is so old, people. I mean, my phone is horrible. I'll be getting frustrated with it. And I can just go in and go get, it's like with clothes. I need new clothes. I need a new phone, but I don't want to do it because I got too many kids. I mean, I could do it, you know, but Umar, he's living his best life with that iPhone 13 Pro Max. That's crazy. What's up, John? And Jonathan Kidd, what's up, man? What's up, Skinny Boy 20 Boy? Thanks for tuning on in. Light Seekers in the building, nomadically speaking. Thank you so much. What is that, a video? What game is that? Looks like a video game. You know, I'm in the sci-fi. Okay, let's go. Here we go.
If anything at all, economically for African people. He didn't start talking about a platinum package until it was.
Dude, every hit the one. Black Morrow, everyone hit the one for Black Morrow. How come Bob and David videos always sound crazy? And you're absolutely right. Every single time, the audio quality, the video quality, everything. Anyway.
Time to run again for a second term against then former Vice President Joe Biden.
Thank you, lady.
And so now he's talking about economics, but you had 4 years in office. At the conclusion of the George Floyd protest for justice, Donald Trump passed the historic Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. Why are you passing a Hispanic Prosperity Initiative at the end of the George Floyd protest?
I like your avatar. That's cool. I know what that is. LS. Yeah, that's cool. I know what that is. Cool.
Where was the American African Prosperity Initiative? And on the other side of the aisle, with our Asian American, South Asian American, occasionally black candidate Kamala Harris, she sat in the White House with President Biden for 4 years and watched him pass an anti.
You right about that. Trump gave black people $1,200. Umar put black folks. Boy, that's true though. That is so true. Umar, all he do is talk. All he do is talk shit. That's it. He ain't doing not a doggone thing either. I guarantee you, Umar ain't doing nothing. He's sitting inside his rental car. Here we go.
Asian hate bill. She watched him pass an anti-transgender hate bill. She watched him give billions of dollars to Ukraine and Afghanistan. She watched him purge and gentrify black people out of Chicago and New York, among other cities.
Yeah, you're right. Umar does have a degree in political science. He has a bachelor's, but listen, I don't even know. Let me be clear about something. Okay. I'm not I don't know much about politics. I don't. I really don't. Okay. And I've already told people, and maybe that's part of it too. I feel shame about that too. It's never been my lane, but Umar has a degree in it. And I can tell clearly that the guy, it's not like he's up to date on anything. He's just talking shit. Anything he can pull, or he can to disparage Kamala Harris, he'll do it. Anything he can do to disparage Donald Trump. But see, the thing with Umar is you rarely hear him say anything positive about anybody. See, this is a red flag. See, when I do these Umar Johnson videos, every once in a while he'll do something. I say, "Oh, come, yeah, that's a good job, Umar." And I give, "What's up, Black Anonymous?" I'll give him credit. Okay, and so if any of you guys are new to this my YouTube page, if you don't mind subscribing, please do. Well, you don't have to. Never mind. Let me take that back. I ain't going to ask you to please. You ain't got to do the doggone thing. But understand that I'm always fair with Umar. When he does something that's good, I give him credit for it. For everyone inside the chat room, just hit the one on that, just so that we're clear about that. It's a red flag when you hear someone and you rarely hear them say anything positive about anyone. And they tend to attack people who are much more accomplished than they are. And see, Umar, he doesn't have his own home. He doesn't have his own residence. He's homeless right now. He doesn't have his own job. He doesn't have a job. See, he's been asking people for money for this fake school for over a decade. He has nothing to show for it. He looks disheveled. He's not an active participant in his children's life. Nothing to be proud about. And yet, for whatever reason, he has all of these different levels of criticism for everyone else, people who are overwhelmingly more successful than he is. So when you're dealing with personality types like that, you guys have to beware about that. If they don't have anything positive to say about people, you need to be very careful about that. And especially if they're just attacking people, and they attack anybody. They'll attack people that they used to support. You always be careful about these types of people. And that's Umar. Okay. All right. And when it comes to, again, when it comes to political science, I don't, when I hear him talk about it, all you hear him is talking shit. He doesn't have anything where he can say, listen, this is what we need to do. This is a plan of action. This is what we're going to mobilize to do this. We're going to move. He'll say what we need to do, and we need to stop this, and we need to, but you ain't doing it. I'm going to, we going to do this. But he don't do nothing. He's a lazy lima bean. This guy will live stream while he's laying in bed, literally. Civics 101, the president doesn't pass any laws. Congress passes laws. The president signs a veto. Yes. See, these are, I'm familiar with that, but when I say the political process, it's just that it's not something I've studied extensively. And it's not something that, let me just say it this way, that if someone asks me right now, Lenon, what policy, what is the platform that Donald Trump is running on? I can't give a conclusive answer to that. If someone said, well, what is the platform that Pamela Harris is running on? I can't give you an answer to that too. And I thought about this, that most people, they only tune into the political stuff, especially for the presidential election here in the United States of America. That's the big main event. They'll tune into it, 8 months before the elections take place, and they get all riled up. And then the elections take place, they vote, elections take place, and then someone is elected. But then in general, I don't think that people are following politics quite like they did for those 8 or 9 months for the next 3.5 years or 3 years. See what I'm saying? In other words, it's not something that they think about every single day, and they're wondering, okay, what's taking place in the world of politics today? And for me, that's something that I just, it's made me to take steps back away from the political arena. Now, the other thing too is I think that a lot of it, well, I don't need to get into this right now, but I understand what you're saying. I understand this Civics 101. It's just that I was not raised to, and I haven't, especially when I got into conspiracy theory days, I was never compelled to participate in the political process. In fact, I was discouraged from doing it. I'll say it that way. Okay. All right. Thanks, D. That's all. All right, let's get back to it. Here we go.
Because we now know that there are migrant crises growing in other cities, and she did nothing. And this is after she said on an interview that she can't do anything just for black people. Well, if you can't do anything just for black people, Vice President Harris, how was it possible? Excuse me, how was it possible for you guys to do something just for gays, just for Asians, just for...
This guy said just for gays. Damn. Damn, bro, why you got, what I'm saying? What in the world? Well, Umar, he ain't got no sense. He said gays. What in the world? Yeah, there's a lot of crises in the pieces and the mices, the mices. You remember Umar said, I can't remember what he was talking about, but he was talking about mice or something like that. He said, I'm gonna throw a mice on your ass. I said, what in the world? I should pull that one up. I guess Lisa, he was saying something like that. Crises? I don't know. Let's keep going. Yeah, he said Mises or something like that. I said, what in the world? Mices? I can't remember. What's up, John? Here we go.
Native Americans, just for migrants. Complete contradiction. And so for me, at this point right now, with 3 months to go until the November 5th election, Baba David, I don't have a reason to vote for either of them.
Okay, but well, you won't vote for either, but a no vote for her, isn't that like a vote for him?
I completely disagree, because even if
what's up, Sentendrey? By the way, here we go. That's one thing I can say about the women in the Cook Crush chat. They do be looking good. Okay, I'm married and all that, so y'all ain't got to listen. None of y'all women or men for that matter, because some of y'all, none of y'all get none of this cookie. Y'all not gonna crush these cookies. It's not gonna happen. Okay, but I will say that there are some fine women up inside the Crush chat. Let's move on. All right, here we go.
No vote is a no vote. It doesn't go to either candidate. Now, if no vote went to Donald Trump, then I could understand the mathematical assessment. But a no vote is a no vote. So it doesn't go.
I'm thinking about mathematically. Let's say we have 7 million voters. 350 million want to vote for Donald Trump, but
yes.
250.
That's right. My cookies will not be crushed. But we must stay focused, family. We must stay focused. Here we go.
Million say, well, I'm not going to vote at all. So that 350 million would still go to him, and the other votes would not even be counted. And that's what I meant by a no vote is a vote for him. Because every vote we take away,
I don't know.
Somebody else is going to vote for him.
I hear what you question. Here's my question. Here's my question, Bobby.
Yes.
Whether a no vote for Kamala Harris goes to former President Trump or not, here's my question to the American African community. What have we been promised from Vice President Kamala Harris that would require us to vote? What have we been promised from former President Trump that will require us to vote? What I see going on, Bob and David, is I am seeing dysfunctional identity politics where Black people, many of whom claim that mixed race Africans are not Black, but the same Negroes who will say,
see the disparaging now, Negroes. Here we go. Yeah, I know. Let's get into that for a second. See, we don't want to hear about all this other stuff about what the politicians promised. Umar, what did you promise to the people? That's the thing about Umar. Everything is a distraction. He don't want to talk about FDMG. He want to talk about everybody else and their mama and disparage everybody else and their mama, call Black people Negroes and coons. If you guys look up coons, that's one of the worst racial epithets in United States history. And there's all kinds of racial epithets that we can put together a list of them. There's racial epithets that were used against Black people. There's African-American people, whatever you want to call them, right? Negroes at a certain point. At a certain point, we were called colored. Well, there's all types of racial epithets. And coon is one of the worst, if not the worst. Well, it's not the worst. It's one of the worst. But Umar uses that at every turn. That in and of itself should make people say, wait a minute. This guy, so, but see, like I said, with Umar, he would like to focus on what everyone else is doing. But if you guys look at what Umar is doing, what does he do? Nothing. Except disparage Black people. But let's get back to it, Rashad. Umar, what did you promise? You promised that you were going to open up a school, and the school was going to open on September 11, 2013. And I can pull up the receipt and show it. That's what you promised. And then you started collecting donations specifically you were collecting donations for other money for other stuff too that was associated with FDMG prior to 2014. But in 2014, in April of 2014, you started collecting money for the St. Paul's College that you were going to turn into a boarding school for boys and girls, mind you. And that was going to be FDMG, which is what you promised back in 2010. And then from 2014 until 2019, you continued to collect money, and you raised. You were already at the end of 2016. You were already at $1 million, but then by the February of 2019, you spent $400,000 to purchase these trap banners up there in Wilmington, Delaware. And here we are 5.5 years later, and not one child has been educated, and you still collecting money for this fake phony school scam. What did you promise? See, with Umar, everything is a diversion. It's either a projection or a diversion. But when it comes to politics and when it comes to male-female relationships, Umar, he speaks so, when it comes to raising children, he speaks so poorly about everybody. And he talks about what politicians promise, and yet he don't want to talk about what he promised. You guys realize this guy, he's collected over $2.7 million by now. And I'm talking about specifically since the St. Paul's 2014, we're talking 4 years later. This guy done collected 2.6, 2.7. It could be closer to 3 million by now. And what does he have to show for it? So, Umar, what did you promise? Anyway, let's go. Thank you for Rashad. That's
mixed race Africans are not black. We'll call Kamala Harris black. So make up your mind. And she's not even 50%. She don't have a black parent. She has.
This is something I don't understand. Why does it matter? And maybe someone in the chat room can explain to me, why does it matter that Donald Trump is white, or why does it matter that Kamala Harris is black or not black? If it's supposed to be about the political process, why would, quote unquote, the social construct of race even matter? I know one doggone thing, when Trump was in office, I know that the economy was not as bad as it is today. I can tell you that. Last month, I spent $2,400 on food, just food alone. I wasn't paying $2,400 a month on food. And again, let me just say this, that normally it wouldn't be that high, but for whatever reason, I don't know what happened. This month, I said, if we can get under 2,000, I'll be happy with that. But I know one thing, that back in the day when Trump was president, I wasn't paying that. Same thing with the gas prices. I don't give a shit if he's white or black. I really don't care. And again, I'm someone, and I'll say it, I don't vote. Never voted for the presidential election. Never have. Should I do it this year? Maybe. I could. But the point that I'm making is Kamala Harris not being black or being black, why is that a factor? Why does that even matter? I don't see why it matters. Donald Trump being white, why would it matter to me? I don't get it. Now, there's other thing I could say. I know that Donald Trump, he has some very horrible things to say. They're very misogynistic about women. He's talking about how you're supposed to grab them in their private parts, something to that effect. Okay, that's what I would look at more than whether or not he's white or not. But that's just me. Okay? Why does it matter that Kamala Harris is black or not black? Anyway, here we go.
First of all,
I want to say.
Hold on, Baba. She has a mixed race parent.
Okay.
Her father.
Listen, hey, Joe, you ain't got to tell me nothing. Listen, I remember. I remember when we had just a few kids and they was young. We can get away with $400 a month. You know, $100 a week these days. Anyway, part of it is because of the economy. Food prices are just really high. You know, they have been for some time. But another part is that they've gotten older. They eat more. You know, I ain't complaining though. I'm just thankful that we got a pantry full. We got food. I need to go to Costco though, but they eat good and they deserve to eat good. And a lot of us, we grew up in situations where there wasn't no pantry. The cabinets were not filled, and the refrigerator didn't have food in it, and that's a rough. It could be tough, you know. So in all of my failings, I failed a lot, you know, and I always grapple with that. I can say that I'm thankful that we're where we're at today. That, you know, our kids, they eat good, you know, and they deserve that. All right, and I eat too good too, son, because I'm getting chunky, and especially, you know, my cheeks. I'm talking about these cheeks. Here we go. Here we go.
Is half Jamaican African. She is a quadroon. She is 1/4 black.
He talking about quadroon? This is white supremacy talk. Have any of you guys studied like the history of race? It's a social construct, not a scientific fact. In fact, if you guys look at Blumenbach as one of the main people, there was three, I can't remember the other two guys' names, but they had to justify the enslavement of black people. But if you go back and you look at racial classifications, there was only, and I've talked about this before, there was 5 classifications. Ultimately, it came down to colors. Okay, but at some point they would say things like the Africanoid or something like that. And that turns into black. Then there's red, that's Native Americans. There's white, that's the Europeans. There's yellow, that's the Asian, and then there's brown, and I guess that would be like Pacific Islanders. Okay, but then there's so many other groups of people that just don't quite fit into any of those categories. But the only 2 categories that we've held on to here in the United States of America is black and white. But understand that when you look at racism here in the United States of America, there was also this underpinning of how much blood, and it really was African ancestry. How much, and there was something called the 1-drop rule. If you have 1 drop of African ancestry, then you're quote unquote cursed, or you're inferior. They would say things like you're a descendant of Ham, who was cursed by God with black skin. But I don't get that either. How is black skin or darker skin a curse? Because you get up out there in the sun, and if your skin, if you don't got it, you get burnt up. Understand that there was a time where human beings, we were outside. I don't mean to say it that way, because somebody like, you outside? No, we was outside all the time. We wasn't on the internets back 100,000 years ago. We wasn't at the job 9 to 5. We weren't at the stove. No, we was out there hunting and gathering out there in the sun and shit. So how is it inferior to have, your skin is darker and you can get out there and you don't get all burnt up? I don't get it. This is some of the stupidest shit that people were coming up with. But part of this, the stupidity of it all was this idea of breaking people up based upon their ancestry, that if you have one grandparent who is black, then you're octoroon, or that's not octoroon, that's one out of 8. But you're a quarter, you're this. Then there was also terms like half breeds. That's if you're 50%. Who comes up with this shit? And Umar's still talking like this today. What other ones? There was the quadroon, and then there was another one like really light-skinned black people that they Creole, this kind of stuff. Yeah, and that was the whole 1-drop rule. It's just ridiculous. And the truth is that as far as African ancestry, all y'all, and I do mean this, all y'all have African ancestry. I don't care how light-skinned you are, or if you quote unquote white, or if you quote unquote Asian, or if you quote unquote red. See, that don't sound weird. It sound weird, don't it? But we still say black and white. Anyway, it don't matter. All y'all come after. They said it in the movie. But y'all want to get up here, talk, nah, I'm from Crenshaw Mafia. No, you not from Crenshaw Mafia. You African. Yeah. Then they got stuff like Red Bones. Yeah. And Yakub with the big old head. That's I'm related to him. Okay, let's get back to it. Anyway. Y'all don't know nothing about that. What you call it, do you? All y'all African. Yeah, that's the word I was thinking about. Mulatto. Okay. Octoroon, mulatto, all that stuff. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to it. Y'all remember a quad Negro? I ain't heard that one. I ain't never heard that one ever. Anyway, let's get back to it. Umar's still talking like this. That's crazy. He's supposed to be advanced, a scholar. And if you listen to scholars and you listen to anthropologists, they don't use the social construct that we call race. They don't use that. See, they start talking about genetics and DNA. See, and if any of y'all, I don't care how light your skin may be, if you go do a DNA test, and you're going to have something coming up out of Africa. And if you go back far enough in your lineage, even beyond what they could test in terms of DNA, let's say 100,000 years ago, at some point, all of y'all, your greatest grandmama came up out of Africa. Sorry to break it to you. I'm sorry to break it to you. Okay, if it's a one drop rule apply, you black too. So just come on. Sorry, white people. I'm sorry. All right, let's get back to it. Here we go.
First of all, I want to say.
Hold on, Baba. She has a mixed race parent.
Okay.
Her father is half Jamaican African. She is a quadroon. She is.
Hey, I can't believe he's saying that. Damn, Umar. She is a quadroon. This guy, he's such a this is called race. This is racism. No, black people can't be racist. I had someone even, no. You go look up the definition of racism. Racism is on the spectrum. We ain't gonna get into that right now. We'll do another show at some point. We talk about race. Racism is on the spectrum. It's not just one thing. Okay. Remember this? There was this white boy. He was a good friend of mine for a while. And he had a computer way back in, I want to say I was probably in the 7th or 8th grade. So I can't even remember. I would have to do the math, but this was in the 80s. He had a computer back then. He was kind of like a geek, real smart dude. He stayed up the street. We used to play and everything. They were from, I think they were from, what is the I can't remember. I would have to look at the map. But I remember he had a sister. She was older and she was a real big fan of this football team, the Cornhuskers. So I can't remember what you call it is. But anyway, they were from what state that was, but they were from that state. They had moved over to where we were living at. They stayed a little bit up the hill. His name was Ted, and we was cool. We'd hang out. We play in the streets and everything. And then I would go to his house, and that was the first time I saw a computer. He had a computer. I can't say that. No. That was the first time I saw a computer in a house. Anyway. We was cool, but then at a certain point we stopped playing together, and there was other people that I would play with and stuff. And I remember one time he was coming home from school and he was walking up past our house, and I was looking out the window, and I said, "Hey, you honky?" And he was shocked, and he says, "What? Why are you saying that?" I said, "Oh, shut up, you." I was just being mean, you know how kids can be real mean, and I was just I was so mean to that young guy, and just calling him out all of his name and cursing at him and stuff. I don't even know why I did that. It's just being stupid. And that hurt him. Like I could tell, like he was really, really demoralized by that. But see, the root of that was race, the social construct of race. And I don't know why I got to that point and talked to him like that. We was kids, but I regret that to this day. He moved not too long after that. I think he was there for maybe 6 more months, but we didn't really play together anymore at that point anyway. But in retrospect, when I think about it, that was racist of me to do that. Okay. So racism is on a spectrum. You don't have to have ultimate power to actualize racism and to target someone simply because of their race and to demean and disrespect them or demoralize them because of their quote unquote race. And I was wrong to do it then. It's just that these days, a lot of people still hold on to this construct, and they will treat people differently because of race. I just don't believe in that. Same thing with sexual orientation. I don't believe in that. I don't care if you're lesbian. I really don't care. If you're gay. To be honest with you, I don't even think it's something that should be a topic of conversation. That's personal and private. Not publicly. It's not, to me, it's not that big of a deal. Now, there was a time where it was a big deal, just like the concept of race, the social construct of race. It was a big deal to me. These days, not so much. I've gotten older. I've had enough life experience to where I really don't give a shit. I just want people to live happy lives. And I'm not going to treat anyone better or worse because of their race or their sexual orientation. Same thing. I'm not going to be calling people coons and Negroes and Umar be talking about quadroons. I'm not going to do that. And the only reason why he's doing that because he wants to devalue Kamala Harris. That's the only reason. I've never heard him use that. Has anyone ever heard Umar talk like that? I've never heard him. For him to bring this up, that's because he wants to disparage Kamala Harris. And he's not the only one. There's a lot of people that are jumping out the woodworks now, disrespecting her. Listen, I told y'all, I'm not even into politics, but right is right and wrong is wrong. But people don't give a shit because ultimately they will express sexism and misogyny and disrespect of women, even in the political arena. Because I've been seeing people, they've been putting up these memes and stuff. It'll pop up on my Facebook page and they got Kamala Harris's head on top of like this woman who's twerking and she got a thong on and her backside is all poking up in the air. I don't see y'all doing that shit for any of these male candidates ever. I've never seen people do that to any of these male candidates. So why do they do that to the female candidate? That's sexism. But we don't want to deal with that, but we let it pass. Has anyone seen this shit? So as progressive or not, that people want to claim that they are, they will even say, hey, listen, okay, we're going to go, it's okay, let's go, we can disrespect, and I'll disrespect her because of her party line, because I'm a Republican, and that's okay. We can go ahead and put her in a thong and she up looking like she's twerking, look like a porn thing type of thing. That's okay because of my party. That's not right. Your party affiliation shouldn't matter. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And some people are disrespecting her because she's quote unquote not black. Some of them disrespect her because she's quote unquote black. But the level of disrespect that she's receiving simply because she's a woman is something that people don't even address. And Umar right there, he right there. What did he say? He said quadroon, right? This, all kinds of stuff is pulling up. Let me see. Oh, I'm spelling it wrong. So this is from, well, let me see if I can get. Let me do site edu. Back in my college days, I was gonna look at it this way. Yeah, let's go to LSU libraries. Perhaps a terminology. Oh, so here's one is Creole. Well, I want to see. Oh wait, quadroons right here. Refers to a person who is thought to be of 1/4 African descent and 3/4 European descent. An octoroon refers to a person who is of 1/8 African descent and 7/8 European descent. Listen, not one of y'all is 100% anything. Go do a DNA test. Not one of y'all. See, but this is the race, this whole race, the idea is just so ridiculous. A Negro is in antebellum Louisiana, Negro or Negress described a person who did not have any European ancestry as distinguished from a person of color. That's crazy though, because of enslavement of African people here in the United States of America. All of us got some European ancestry, all of us. See, African American is not a race. African American is it's really what it is. It's an ethnic group. See, the truth is that black isn't even a race. It's a social classification. But if you go genetics, just based on genetics, all y'all black. and the truth is that, listen, here in the United States of America, if you have ancestries that were enslaved, all y'all got some European ancestry in you too. All right. Mulatto, historically, this term is meant to describe someone of mixed African and European ancestry. In Louisiana, it is even more specifically describing someone who is believed to be of 1/2 African ancestry and 1/2 European ancestry, and 1/2 European ancestry as being mulatto. And then a griff, I've never heard this, refers to a person who is believed to be 1/4 European descent and 3/4 African descent. Alternatively, it could refer to someone of African and Native American ancestry. Wow. And you know what's really crazy about this when I think about it though is that all of these, I don't even know what to call it, subgenres of race, DNA testing wasn't even present back then. How'd they come up with this shit? It just goes to show you none of this is scientific. DNA testing is not even present. So how do you know? See, here's a quick example, we'll get back to it. There's African-American people or quote unquote black people here in the United States of America whose skin color is lighter than some of the white people that I've seen. Did y'all know that? So then how, therefore, will you be able to determine how much, genetically speaking, let's say we're going to take them back 300 years ago, 250 years ago, genetically speaking, how do you know how much genetic material that they have coming out of Africa or coming out of Europe? You know, even though if you go far enough, it's all coming out of Africa, but that's besides the point. How did they know? See, but socially speaking, they can still classify people because of their social status. They didn't have nothing to do with genetics. They didn't even have the technology back then to look at DNA. They didn't even have it. People really didn't think about this. So the idea of a mulatto of a quote unquote Negro grift. I don't even know what this is. Grift. I've never heard of this. A quadroon or octoroon. None of that scientific because they didn't even have the technology to be able to ascertain or determine what people's genetic makeup was back then. And yet Umar running around here talking about quadroons and octoroons. It's crazy. Here we go.
1/4 black. Here's the point that I'm making. For those who are into identity politics, she doesn't meet the criteria of being black by many of their standards. So I'm hearing black people say I'm going to vote for her just because she's black. But according to many American Africans' definition of being black, because many of us reject mixed race, I don't. I'm a Pan Africanist, I don't. But many of them reject mixed race Africans, but they're qualifying Kamala Harris because they need to believe in her so badly. Here's my last.
Yeah, but you see how slick Umar Johnson is? Umar, what do you think though? See, Umar clearly he makes a distinction that she's basically Umar is saying that she's not black because she's quadroon, and that means that she's only 1/4 black. So she's less than what black would necessarily be. But then he flips it around and says, you know, some people they think that way and they don't think that she's black. So what you're saying is, as a Pan Africanist, that she is black. The real question is, why does it matter anyway? Right? But see, the only reason why he brings up quadroon is because he wants to disparage her. He wants to make her less than in the eyes of other people. But see, it shouldn't matter to him as a quote unquote Pan Africanist because he's supposed. See, you know, let me tell you something that's really crazy about Umar. He'll say things like, quote unquote, mixed. They're a mixed race African, but they're still black. Well, listen, if they're still black, why do you even bring up them being mixed race? Why would it? See, it's racist. In essence, it's racist. See, racism is on the spectrum. See, if you think that somehow a person is more black or less black, it's just on the spectrum of racism. And you flip it around. There's white who says, okay, well, this person is white, but this person is not. It's still racism. It's just on a spectrum. And so for Umar, because she's a quote unquote octoroon, okay, we're getting into racial politics. Yeah, but it's also racism because you're trying to diminish her quote unquote blackness because she's only 1/4 black. But then on the other hand, you say that I'm Pan-African, so therefore she is black because she's mixed race, and mixed race quote unquote Africans are also black. It's ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. And this guy has a degree. Boy, I tell you, he got 17 degrees. Here we go.
Point, Baba David. There's been 14 presidential elections since Dr. King's assassination. 14 presidential election cycles since 1968. Can you please name the one that benefited black people? And if we cannot name the election cycle out of the past 14 presidential elections since Dr. King's assassination, if we can't name the presidential administration that changed something systemically for the American African people, why then are we emotionally rallying our people up to be exploited once again?
Hey, we didn't lose you, did we?
No, he's using that Walmart Wi-Fi. he outside of McDonald's. He using that McDonald's Wi-Fi. He ain't got no house. He don't got no Ethernet cable to plug in to the phone. He ain't got no Wi-Fi. Poor Umar, he live streaming inside his car because he's homeless. What's up, Willie? Thanks for becoming a member. Louis Stuck says the gray beard looks like a mud foot. I know you ain't talking about my beard. I think you're talking about Father David. Y'all better leave Father David alone. Father David been around a long time. Let's give him some respect. He know Moses. He knows Earth the Kid, all of them. So let's give him some respect. I can't say nothing because my beard is turning all grays down to this part of it. All right. Thanks for the second. Hope you're doing all right. Jonathan Kidd says her father is Irish and East Indian, born in Jamaica. Umar is misinformed. So you're saying, okay, her father is Irish and then East Indian born, and East Indian, and he was born in Jamaica. Okay. Yeah. Again, I don't see why it should matter whether she's black or white or other. And same thing with Donald Trump. Again, if someone said, okay, well, what's the policies that they're going to be pushing? I can't even give people, and I wish I could, but I'm just not educated on that level. I don't follow politics because that's really what should matter. You know, as far as I'm concerned, whoever says, listen, 100%, I'm going to get the economy turned around, that's the person that I would vote for in general. Okay. Now, if they saying some other shit like, you know, we're gonna make it so that women can't work again, I'll be like, you know what, fuck you. I can't vote for you. I mean, I would like to get the economy turned around, but I can't support that. You see, but that would be the primary thing that I would focus on is the economy, because it affects everyone, and it has affected everyone. It's not just black people. But Umar's ill-informed about a lot of different things. He's misinformed about a lot of different things, but he will play the race card at every turn. I've been noticing more and more people are calling Umar a race baiter. Let me just do this, Jonathan. Let me see if I can get a definition. And the unfair use of statements about race to try to influence the actions or attitudes of a particular group of people. Yeah, this is it right here. See, Umar's given an unfair or inaccurate. He's given unfair and inaccurate statements about Kamala Harris, her ancestry, to try to influence the actions or attitudes of black people, a particular group of people, black people, and particularly within the political arena. See, I don't think Umar wants black people to vote for anybody. Okay, black people have the right. You know, the truth is our ancestors had to fight for the right to vote. It doesn't mean that you have to, because you have a right to vote. You have a right not to vote. Same thing with if to stand for the flag, you have a right to, and you have a right not to. Okay? Doesn't make you any less American, in my opinion, if you stand or if you sit. Doesn't make you any less American. I can care. To be honest with you, it just doesn't matter to me. The way I look at it is, listen, if you standing for the flag and it's saying one nation under God, but you racist, I mean, I can give a shit about you standing for the flag. One nation under God with liberty and justice for all. But is that what we see? Liberty and justice for all? No. But that's just how I look at things. I mean, people, you can stand or sit, whatever. That's up to you. I thank Jonathan Kidd for that clarification. If anyone else have any further clarifications on her answers, you want. The thing is, it really shouldn't matter. Okay, we're supposed to be looking at what they're going to be bringing to the table, right? Umar is he sure is. He's a fraud room. That's a good one. That's a good one, Ice Man. Hashtag Umar Umar fraud room. I didn't even spell it right, but y'all get it. Umar fraud. Mar fraud. All right. And there's still no schools. That's right. All right. Okay, Jackman side. You are the only one that can do this is Donald Trump. Okay. Yeah. I got to. He's a fraud room. Someone said more jobs were created under Biden than the last 3 Republican presidents combined. I don't know if that's a fact. You got someone show me a receipt or where we can find receipts. But I look at the economy. Again, I'm not into politics. Maybe I need to get into it, you know, but it's not something that I follow, not something that I do follow. But at the end of the day, I look at the economy and where things are at with the economy and who would be the person who's going to turn that around. I mean, who knows? Maybe both of them could turn around. On the other hand, Kamala, she's been with Biden for the last, almost 4 years and 7 months or so. And while she's under Biden, the economy has really gotten bad, you know. So anyway, let me fix this because the lighting is changing. It looks like it may be going to rain. That would be great. By the way, let me just give you guys, before we move on, thanks everyone who started cooking. Thank you for being here. I want to thank all the mods for handling this. Also, thanks everyone who sent in super chats. I do have Cash Apps and PayPal links listed down below in the description of this video. If you guys don't mind, if you can hit the like button, I appreciate it. Got about 900 people in the building. Let me just say this to you guys. If any of you guys are into plants or plant pots, now is a perfect time to get stuff on discount. Depending on where you're at. Where I'm at, it may be if you're like further south. Let's say if you're in Southern California or something, you may have to wait maybe another 3-4 weeks, maybe a month, because everything starts to go on clearance. You know, plants that they couldn't sell that they would have sold, during early spring. So a lot of stuff is on clearance, and a lot of the plant pots are on clearance too. And I picked up a whole bunch of it. I saved a whole bunch. I probably saved about $200. And what I'll plan on doing is some of it I'll save until next year, but then other stuff I'll just go ahead and I'll keep the plants and keep them inside during the wintertime. And next year I won't have to buy them. Save some money. All right. All right, that's my public service announcement. Here we go.
It's frozen.
Okay, well, we got to take a break. But I don't know if he's frozen, if he can hear me or not. So let me take the break.
Yeah.
And come back, and hopefully he'll be back with
I can hear you.
Okay, before we take a break, I wanted to say that people talk about, well,
this is a good point. If she had 5 kids by 8 men and robbed a bank, y'all wouldn't be wasting space talking about she ain't black. This is smart as a whip, which is true, highly intelligent, and y'all questioning her blackness as if black women are not intelligent. I don't know if they're questioning it because they're saying that she's not intelligent. I think that a lot of black people are doing, and I shouldn't even say that, but there are some black people who are doing it, questioning her blackness as a way of discrediting her as a candidate. In other words, we shouldn't support her because she's not black. That's the way I've kind of looked at it. I could be wrong on that, but that's just what I've seen circulating online. I don't think it should matter at all. It's like if we just look at intelligence, she's highly intelligent, but you know, the person who was remarkably intelligent was oh, I can't remember her name right now. Barack Obama's Michelle Obama. You guys ever heard her talk? Highly intelligent. Barack Obama was intelligent too. See, but see, if intelligence was a barometer, simply intelligence, then there's a lot of people that would have never become president, like George Bush. I was watching some George Bush videos yesterday because he cracks me up. He was hilarious. Not the brightest bulb in the light box, but he became president. A lot of it had to do with his father was president, so you know then they tried to get Jeb in there, but they didn't go for him because Trump was clowning the shit out of him. But I don't think that it's strictly intelligence based because someone like Trump, he doesn't strike me as being highly intelligent or highly articulate for that matter. Biden doesn't strike us, especially in his old age, and it doesn't strike me as someone who's highly intelligent, and especially to be able to speak and be cogent, you know, and concise. He's all over the place. So I don't think that that's the only factor. The point I want to make is that I think that people questioning her blackness is more of a strategy. On one hand, for people to question her legitimacy as someone who's worthy of the black vote. I don't think it should matter. Okay? But then I also think that there's people who may look at her blackness or her black heritage, if you want, let's just call it that, okay, black heritage, as something to be distasteful. That because she's quote unquote black, that we shouldn't vote for her. So I think it goes on both ways. You know, I remember there was a lot of people with Barack Obama. Race became a huge issue. It shouldn't have been, but it became a huge issue. The guy was highly intelligent. You know, he had a record in terms of politics. And Trump didn't have a record. See? But I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. I think that a lot of people vote not simply because of intelligence or because of qualification, or because of anything that really we should consider. I think that a lot of people vote because of race. A lot of people will vote because of gender or sex. See, and that's just my opinion on that. I don't think people should do it that way, but there are people who do it that way. Anyway, who am I to say anyway? I'm not into politics. Okay, it'd be interesting if I ever took to figure out, okay, if I was into politics, what would I be? Would I be a Democrat or Republican? I just think it's more complex than that. For instance, there are certain things that like I can see from the vantage point of people who are Republican that I would agree with, but then there's also things that I see from Democrats that I would agree with. There's things that I see from Republicans, policy stuff, just a political view that I don't agree with, but then there's things that I do agree with and I don't agree with Democrats. So it goes both ways. I just think it's more complex than just, okay, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. Okay, that's when you get into the political gangbanging. All right, here we go.
She ain't 100% black. I thought, what happened to the one drop of black blood? And I also wanted to say, Bob Marley had a white father. So does that mean that he's not black?
I will come back to that.
Bob Marley was percent African, Baba. He had a black mother. Kamala Harris doesn't have a black mother. She has a mixed race father.
Oh, so it's
not mixed race.
It's the female lineage.
The quadroon.
What in the world what is this? So if it's the mama, I don't get it. I don't get it.
So it's the female.
Is one.
Okay, we gotta take a break.
For me, it don't matter. Okay, man, Bob.
Okay, we gotta take.
See, now Umar saying it doesn't matter, but obviously it does matter because he's the one bringing it up.
He had a black mother. Kamala Harris doesn't have a black mother. She has a mixed race father.
Oh, so it's the
she is not mixed race.
It's the female lineage.
The quadroon.
So it's the
I can't believe he's used this terminology. The black mom makes you 100% black, not 50%. What? I don't know. I'm confused. He called Bob Marley a quadroon. Damn, Umar. Damn, man, that's crazy. That is so high. Then Frederick Douglass, what was Frederick Douglass then? I know one thing, he was a bunny hopper. He was a bunny. You named the school after a bunny hopper. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that because I don't, I'm being mean. I shouldn't do that. He's a quadrilateral. Someone says she has no black hair. Listen, that's fine. I don't really, okay. I mean, I don't see why it should matter. I really don't. I really don't. Yeah. I don't get it. She was raised by 100, but that's fine. What's the big deal? Has she ever stated that she's black? Meaning, see, even that though, come on, people, because there's people in India who are darker skinned than we are and have more African ancestors. If you go far back enough, they got more African ancestors than we got. Okay. And I'm trying to look at this from the vantage point of someone who's not, I'm not full in on this idea of race. There's the human race. That's it. Now you can break it up into groups, from different regions, but why would it matter whether or not she's black or not? And if she was raised, really, if she's raised 100% Indian, okay, fine. Indian, I have Indian friends. I had a lot of really cool Indian friends when I was in college. One of them, I named one of my sons after him. I love Indian classical music. Ravi Shankar, one of my favorite music, and the most beautiful music, vocal music when women sing it is the Indian women, the classic stuff. That stuff is so beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful to me. Okay. By the way, the Tiny Desk on they have a YouTube page. They be having some old school people on there. They had SWV on there. Have y'all seen that? It sound way better than, because I used to love me SWV because that one song, I get so weak in the knees, na 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 na, something like that. Na 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 na. I get so weak in the knees, something like that. I can hardly speak. They have some really good melodies too. That's the thing I've noticed and listened to most songs. But that one song, that's the song, that was my sex song when me and my girlfriend, when I was 16, 17, we used to put that on it and get busy. That was I had a good deal back then, family. I had a good deal. But we would put that on and get to humping. Anyway, the lady, the lead singer, I was listening to her on the Tiny Desk concert, and she has a really unique voice that I really like. She has a really, because there are certain singers, you hear their voice, he's like, that's a very unique voice. And she has a very, Patti LaBelle, she has a very unique voice. But anyway, if you guys haven't seen it, it's worth watching if you guys used to listen to SWV, because that concert, they sound so much better than what I remember them sounding when I was in high school. Anyway. All right, let's go. I'll be getting sidetracked. Here we go.
Is one.
Okay, we gotta take a break.
For me, it don't matter. Okay, go ahead, Bobby.
Okay, we got to take a break. When we come back, I don't know why I got this echo. Can we do something about that, Nicholas?
Well, we're going to take a break and see
Yeah,
what
it
we
was
can do
good.
when
It
we
was
get
so
back.
good.
And Patrick had a question for you as well. Do you believe in voting or just not voting for president?
I believe in voting when I have a reason to vote.
Okay, that's good.
That my vote is so important and valuable to me, I do not waste it. I don't vote because I can. I would liken that to walking into a supermarket and buying stuff just because you have money. Who walks into a Galleria mall and starts buying things
Umar, you ain't got no money. You just anyway.
just because they have a credit card, just because they have a checkbook, just because they have money? I think we would call that the definition of insanity.
Or
But
impulse
telling
buying.
black people just because they can, to me, is ridiculousness. And we also have to keep
This whole interview setup is just goofy.
in mind as well, Baba David, that the main strategy used to influence black people to vote is fear. That is how they get black people out to vote. The number one propaganda point that you hear being pushed by the Democratic Party plantation slaves is if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, Trump will win. That's not a reason to vote. I'm going to vote because Kamala Harris has promised to build industries in the black community that is going to give our people jobs so our young men can stop killing each other in the name of crime and financial desperation. I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because she's going to pass legislation to deal with the femicide in our black community.
Yeah, but Umar, you can say that, but see, you prey on black women anyway. That's just cut it out. The big deal is that she is pandering to the black United States citizens, so it is a slap into the face of voters to be played like, yeah, but that they always do. That's called politics. Everyone does that. That's not extraordinary. Freeman, I don't know how old you are, but I remember back in the day, y'all remember Arsenio Hall show? I remember that Bill Clinton got up on there and started to play the tenor. He was playing tenor saxophone. He was playing blues. Anybody remember this shit hit the one? And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. And all politicians do that. Anybody remember that? And it didn't even sound good when I listened. I go back and listen to it. I was like, oh, they just had him practicing for about a month. Okay, but he sounded horrible. But black people ate that up. Plus, he's on the Arsenio Hall show, and they all do that. That's not extraordinary. They start talking black, sounding black. They get their hot sauce off, start pouring the hot sauce on anything. They be putting it on bread. They be putting it on rice. They put it in their drink. And there are black people who fall for it. They're like, yeah. And then they always make the same promises anyway. But they all do that, Freeman. They all do that. Yeah, anybody remember that? Someone said Eric B. Eric B. You crazy. Yeah. Nora Jones, that's Ravi Shankar's daughter. Ravi Shankar's other daughter is a sitar. I can't remember her name right now, but she's I went and saw her in concert way back in the day when she was she was probably like 16, 17, and she was getting down. She was fantastic. But that's one of the people I listened to a lot was Ravi Shankar. Another person is Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. I love his music even to this day. Of course, Stevie Wonder, John Coltrane. I got a picture of Ravi Shankar over there, and the Stevie Wonder right there. And there's a young lady up there. I can't remember her name right now, but she's from Palestine. She's Palestinian. She plays the flute, but she sings, and boy, she's great. She's young too. I can't remember her name right now, but she is fantastic. Okay, let's get back to it, everybody. How we doing on time? Yeah, I got to be done here in 22 minutes. Okay. Let me get back into this chat room. Willie Austin, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it. There's a whole archive membership. Tonight, I'm going to be putting a lot of these Umar videos that are for public. They'll go to members only. And then I schedule members only live from time to time. I do topics on other videos on other topics too from time to time for members only. Okay, I got that one earlier. Okay, I got that one earlier. Thanks so again, Jonathan. I appreciate it. That's classic right there. He's a fraud. So when he was trying to determine Drake's race on the Breakfast Club, he sounded like a fool. I haven't watched it. I'm sure he sounded like a fool. Drake was raised as he was raised in the Jewish community. He had bar mitzvah and all that stuff. I had a Jewish friend. His name was Kenny. He played tenor saxophone when I was in high school. Cool dude, really cool. They have their culture is interesting too, because they put a lot into education and a lot into family. And a highly successful group of people too, by the way. But he was a cool person. But the thing is that Drake is, from what I understand, his mother is Jewish, and based on their culture, it goes through the mother's line, which would mean that he's Jewish. Okay. Man, you know, it's interesting to a lot of the people that are put in certain positions. It's not because of talent. A lot of times it's because of who they know and who they're affiliated with. And Drake is one of those people, because if you guys go back, he was, I can't remember if he was on, I think he was on Nickelodeon. And there's a thing, this image of him where he's in blackface. He wasn't a rapper back then or none of this stuff. A lot of people become hood because it's part of the persona that they build in the entertainment industry, and they ain't got not one hood bone in them. And there's a lot of people out there. There's even black rappers who ain't even from the streets and nothing, be talking all that gangster talk, but they ain't got a gangster bone in their body. Not one. Dr. Dre wasn't in no gang. Ice Cube wasn't in no gang either. Okay. But you list the rap lyrics, especially with the NWA, a lot of that stuff was about gang banging and all this kind of stuff. No, cut it out. Anyway. I haven't seen that, so ain't no telling, you know, there ain't no telling what Umar might have said. He'd be all over the place. He's always all over the place. Sometimes I wonder if he even knows what he's talking about. Because I figured that if he runs his mouth enough, he's going to start sounding like he's ridiculous anyway. I think that with Umar, he'd just be running his mouth. Thanks, a lady, for super chat. Also, thanks, Iceman Vap. And then Iceman Vap says, so Umar got 6 degrees and wants the president of the United States to get him a job. Yeah. The thing is, Umar don't want no job. Let's be clear about that. But the fact that he has 6 degrees, but he can't get employed or maintain employment for an extended period of time, that's to me is incredible. I was. Yep. Now you would think that someone who has, he was all right, but he wasn't great. Anyway, you would think that someone who has 6 degrees would be able to create a decent life for themselves. You know, Umar could have simply done the speaking circuit and just wrote books, but he wouldn't have to make them professional. He wouldn't have to, when I say that, I mean, it needs to be academically sound, where he's sourcing, he has reference material, you know, he's quoting experts and all that kind of thing. He could have had a career as a speaker, you know, at universities. I'm talking about, top-notch universities, but he would have to have his life in order before doing all of that. He never had his life together, you know, and he was always living foul. And always trying to hustle and scam to get money out of people. But he could have done it legitimately, and he could have created a wonderful life for himself. He had every single opportunity to create a wonderful life. And his educational background, he could have been a college professor easily. He could have, you know, there's all kinds of things. He could have opened up his own practice, you know. But no, he hasn't done anything. He's reduced himself to talking about octoroons and quadroons and looking like a Pookie. Sad. Up there on Breakfast Club trying to, I don't get it. I don't even see why it would matter. Anyway, thanks, a lady, and thanks, Iceman Fab. Let's get back to it. Here we go.
Thing from sexual trafficking, everything to the brutality and slaughter of defenseless black women, to the amount of black women who are dying while they're trying to give birth to their children. Okay, as well as the high infant mortality rate, which is one of the highest in the developed world. I'm gonna vote for Kamala Harris because she promises to radically transform and reconstruct the special education to prison pipeline. In other words, I will gladly cast the vote for Kamala Harris, or I will gladly cast the vote for former President Trump if they give me some.
Yeah, I don't know if he graduated, though. I know that he was in school for, I don't know if it was, I thought it was graphic design, but maybe architectural design, maybe it's correlated. I don't know if he ever graduated, though.
Food on my plate, but to ask me to sit down and give me a fork and a spoon and act like I'm enjoying a meal when there's no food on my plate is absolutely insanity. Give me
Yeah, this is interesting. Kevin Martin, this is a good point. Says we have had both Democratic and Republican presidents, and in neither instance do the hoods get less hood. In either instances, does crime reduce? My check doesn't increase nothing. Neither cares. Interesting. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, Judaism is not a race; it's a religion. Yeah, you're right about that. It is the use of as a race for political reasons. But the truth is, also, Wayne, is that Jewish people these days are classified as white. Now, amongst each other, they may not necessarily, because they have a very strong, from what I remember, they have a very strong need to identify as being Jews. The thing is that there was a time where they weren't classified as white, and they faced racism because they weren't white and they were classified as Jews. And it's not just here in the United States of America. This has been globally, But because and here in the United States of America, it is as a social status to be called white. It's a privileged position. There are people who used to not be considered to be white and never considered themselves to be white, but they have adopted that moniker, that social status, because it's of benefit to them. Shit, if I could do it, I would do it too. You might as well. There's a whole bunch of people that used to wasn't called white. The Italians weren't called white. What is the people? Why am I? The leprechauns, the Lucky Charms, Irish people. They weren't considered to be white back in the day. There's a lot of people that weren't called white, But it's two groups, a group of people to their benefit if they can be acknowledged as white, because it provides them with certain privileges in the society. So what I'm saying is that's why the idea of race, the white race, it's a social construct. It's a social classification. It has very little to do with genetic background. Okay? This to say that there could come a time 2,000 years from now, if this country still exists as it is, wherein Black people who have a certain amount of European ancestry will be classified as white. It's possible. It's happened for other groups of people. Why not? Anyway, there was another super chat that came in from Jer Bear. Says, "Hey, Lenon, new subscriber here. I really enjoy your videos. You and the Cookie Crush chat keep." Yeah, I know. I try to stay out of the Cookie Crush chat because I got to run the show. I get up in there and I get carried away. I get to cracking up and laughing, and the show goes in a whole nother direction. So I try my best to stay up out of there. Usually, what I do is I'll rewatch and I'll just be in the chat room and I'll be cracking up. We really have a very special place, the Cookie Crush chat, and it wasn't always like that. I remember when I first started doing Umar videos, I don't even remember if we had a chat room, because I was doing it on I can't remember what it was called. It was through YouTube, but they had a certain GUI that you could use in order to set up live streams. I can't remember, a Hangout, Google Hangouts. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I think we did have a chat room, but it wasn't like it is today. And then at a certain point, StreamYard became an option. So I started using StreamYard, and that has a wonderful interface. It's still limited on certain levels, but what has happened over the years is that there's a lot of camaraderie and positivity, and then we support each other. I mean, there's been people who've had some struggling times, and then we reach out and we try to help those people out. And I remember when I was pursuing my degree, I had a lot of support inside the chat room. People encouraged me to keep going, and I was able to get that accomplished. So it's a really positive place. I appreciate the Cookie Crush chat. I find that when I don't live stream and I don't get the interaction, that I don't feel as good as I do when I do live stream. So that's saying a lot. So I'm very thankful, and I'm grateful. We've been through a lot together, as I don't even know if you want to call it a community, but we've been through a lot of ups and downs, and it's a really special place. I'm really blessed to have y'all. I'm really blessed. So thank y'all so much, Cookie Crush chat. I always say y'all undefeated. Okay. All right, and thanks, Jared Bear, for the super chat, and also thanks for your for becoming a subscriber. All right, I appreciate that as well. All right, let's get back to it, and we're going to go for another 12 minutes, and we'll come back a little bit later on. We'll do part 1 and part 2, because I was planning on live streaming later on anyway, because we got to get caught up on all this Umar Johnson stuff. But what I'll do is I'll take a break. We'll take a break, and then maybe when I leave, we'll come back like maybe in an hour and a half. So by that time, it'll be like, let's say 5:30. And I'll set up the show right after I'm done with this, and I'll be on time. Okay, I promise I'll be on time. Thanks, Jerry Bear, for the and I like that name too. Remind me of Care Bears. Y'all remember Care Bears? Jerry Bear, you look like you're too young to remember Care Bears. But back in the day, I love me some Care Bear. Yeah, that's her day. Yeah, she's phenomenal. I saw her live. And she was like a teenager. She was great. I saw Ravi Shankar live, and I saw Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan live too. That was great. All right, let's get back to it. We're going to go for another 12 minutes. Thank y'all so much, everyone. I appreciate it.
The reason to vote. I do not vote because I can, and I will not vote out of fear.
But also, as you mentioned about the strategy and the plan, the propaganda, I would be one to believe that part of the propaganda would be to try to convince black people, don't come out and vote, just stay home and vote. Ain't going to do you no good. And then a lot of black people will follow that propaganda and won't come out and vote. I believe the turnout numbers are already so low.
Bobby David, we got to go back to the point. But Bobby David, what are they voting for? You still haven't given me a reason. What are they voting for Kamala Harris for? So, you understand what I'm saying? You can't just say vote for her, because we don't like Trump. That's fear politics. That's fear politics. What has Joe Biden did for black people?
Yeah, I can't remember. I remember there was Share Bear. I remember Share Bear. That's the one I remember.
People.
What has any of them done? Ain't none of them done nothing.
Obama do for black people?
Nothing. None of them done nothing for us. None of them have done anything for us, and that is why I say.
Thank you. So why are we voting then?
Because
if we had 14 presidential cycles, Bobby David,
right?
and the past.
Yeah, Umar does not know how to debate or argue. He just starts yelling and screaming and talking over people, and Father David can't even get a word in. Y'all notice this? Hit the one.
57 years.
That's right.
14 presidential elections in 57 years, and nobody can tell me one systemic change.
Yeah. Yeah, the Care Bear stare. I used to love me some Care Bear, and I also like that one. Remember Rainbow Bright? I used to watch Rainbow Bright. You younger people have no clue what we're talking about. Care Bear, Rainbow Bright. But then my favorite cartoon at a certain point was Transformers and G.I. Joe. It's come on back to back. But my grandma, she used to like to watch Little House on the Prairie. I had a crush on that young lady. Then I saw her in this movie about 8 years ago. The guy had her up there on in the stairway and was going. I said he was going in on it. I said, what the world? I said, what happened? I said, you used to be a nice, wholesome young girl up over here on the wagon trail and up here with the horses and all of this with your daddy, but now you up here. Let this man run through you on the stairway. I was shocked when I saw that. Anyway, yeah, I used to watch He-Man too. That was one of my favorites. All right, let's get back to it. Here we go.
That we've gotten from the red team or the blue team. See, what we got to understand is the left wing and the right wing, the red wing and the blue wing are still parts of the same bird. That is doing all over Black America.
but still, if you look at it, if the turnout is only minimal, 20.
Thundercats was my favorite for a long time too. I would say Thundercats, Transformers, and G.I. Joe. Those three right there. Thundercats, that especially Chitara, because I used to have a crush on Chitara. She had on that thing, and then she had that pole. She'd get on that pole. But yeah, I had a crush on her. She used to run real fast. Okay.
Turnout. Somebody's going to win the election. So if we stay home, somebody's going to win. And if they convince them with their propaganda,
do we win, Bobby David? But do we win, Bobby David?
Okay. If that's the case, if we don't come out, we certainly can't win.
Will win.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That might have been my favorite was Voltron. I forgot about Voltron. It was Transformers, Voltron before, I think, but Transformers, Voltron, G.I. Joe, and Thundercats. Those are my top four. That was my Mount Rushmore right there, cartoons. Y'all let's put together your Mount Rushmore before we close out this show. We're gonna do part 2 in a couple of hours.
No.
Dr. Omar.
You're rationalizing your position by taking the negative. I'm asking you to
Yeah,
rationalize your position by taking the positive.
Robotech was really good too, but it was more anime from well, all of it was, that was like original anime right there. But that it was different because well, no, Voltron was right there too. Man, my Mount Rushmore, I gotta have 5. I'm gonna put 4. Okay, we're just gonna keep. I used to love Silverhawk too. Anyway, get sidetracked. Anyway, I'm gonna put my top 4 right now. My all-time cartoon Mount Rushmore. Y'all do the same if you want to, and then we're gonna close out the show. Here we go.
Omar.
Black America gain by voting for either candidate. What do we gain?
If I'm trying
We
to
have to
explain,
stop using fear mongering.
I'm not scared. I'm trying to legitimize my position. What I'm saying is that if we came out in numbers, we could elect whoever we wanted. When I was at WHAT, we were running a couple of African candidates right here in Philadelphia. Harry Masala, who is Ethiopian, and we was running Dr. Ulu Fadiyidi. He was running for judge. We thought that we had such a strong voice in the black community on WHAT.
Yeah, Robbie. I used to love me some DuckTales. Woo! Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Then he'd be swimming in the gold. I used to love me some DuckTales.
JT, we just knew we was going to win those. But the black people didn't come out and vote. And the white people came out and voted for their candidate, and our candidate lost. So it's my position that if instead of trying to tell people they didn't come out and vote, I'm trying to tell people if all of us came out and voted, then we could get what we wanted.
Baba David, what was your candidate promising black people, or was this simply another useless identity vote because the candidate was black?
I would agree with that, because that's I often say we make no demands. We make no demands on the politicians.
With identity politics, I do not vote because people are black.
I don't either.
I do not vote because.
Well, then why is he bringing it up that she's a quadroon? Why would that matter? Yeah, so here's my Mount Rushmore right here: Thundercats, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Voltron. Jonathan Kidd said Transformers, G.I. Joe, Robotech, Silver. I used to love Silverhawks too, and Star Blazers. I don't remember Star Blazers, but Silverhawks, I used to love Silverhawks. Yeah, Inspector Gadget, that was one of my favorites too. Penny, I had a crush on Penny. That was his daughter inside the what you call it. Yeah, I used to watch Beverly Hills, the Beverly Hillbillies. Not the Teen Beverly Hills. But yeah, that's a solid. You got how many you got there? Yeah, you got 5, right? G.I. Joe. Yeah, you got 5. That's the top. I got 4 right here, but this is my 4 right here. Thundercats, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Voltron. Yeah. Speed Racer. I remember that too. Yeah, I like Chippendale. There's a new one called She-Man. Yeah. No, there was a She-Ra. Y'all remember She-Ra? There was a She-Ra cartoon too. Okay, we're gonna go for 3 more minutes. Let me let this play, and then I'm gonna set up the other show right now. This is part 1. We'll do part 2 in about an hour and a half.
People are black. I vote because they're going to do something for my community.
Dr. Omar.
Yes, Patrick.
Dr. Omar, how are you doing?
All is well, my brother.
Man, it's been a long time, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
looking at the, hypothetically, right? Who is the best
Umar about to go crazy. I can tell. He about to go crazy.
devil that you can actually cast your vote for? Looking at,
I do not engage in the lesser of the 2 evils narrative. I do not engage.
So how do we participate?
Evil, it does not come in degrees.
How do we participate?
Evil is evil.
How do we participate in the election, or how do we participate in what affects?
I tell you what we should do.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very slow. I tell you what we should do. Mm-hmm. We have 3 months. Mm-hmm. 3 months.
Yes.
What black people should do right now is organize ourselves into a powerful, all black national union. Mm-hmm. Our votes should be tied together with all of.
He gonna do this in a couple of months. See, that's the thing. Umar says all the things that we should do, but he don't do nothing. Mighty Orbots, pole. I remember pole position. Transformers, G.I. Joe. Yeah, that's solid. That's solid. I remember pole position. That was cool. Smurfs, Thundercats, Flintstones, Scooby Doo, and yeah, I used to love me some Scooby Doo, Heathcliff. Flintstone, that goes way back. That goes way back. Smurfs, I couldn't watch Smurfs because it was considered to be demonized by the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I couldn't watch that. I have watched it, but I wasn't supposed to. So I didn't really get into it deep. But yeah, Heathcliff, I used to love watching Heathcliff. And Scooby-Doo, yeah, that because they used to scare, that was like back, but nowadays the kids watch that, they like, that ain't scary. Yeah, I remember Speed Racer. Yeah, I got that one. Yeah, Jetsons, that's way back. Yeah. Yeah, he is all. How's it going, Maddie? Okay, I'm setting up the second show right now, and we'll be done here in about 2 minutes. Transformers, Thundercats, Heathcliff, Star Blazers. Okay. Yeah, I remember Darkwing Duck. That was a spinoff of DuckTales. Yeah, GoBots. Yeah. I couldn't get into GoBots though because I was into Transformers. But GoBots, I remember they even had GoBot toys. They had the one guy Scooter. Remember that? Crush on Penny. Did you get out my? Yeah, I did. Penny was cute when I was a kid. Y'all remember Penny? Anyway, I spent a lot of time outside. We used to play a lot in the streets playing football and running around. Flintstones, Merry Melodies. Yeah, Merry. Yeah, okay. You talking? That's old school right there. Okay. Yeah, Ultraman, I didn't get into that. Was kind of weird to me. It just didn't look right. I think I was spoiled by watching Transformers. I could watch Transformers today. Okay, Brave Star, Space. I remember Space Ghost and Thundar. I remember Thundar too. That was like, it was almost like a Thundar the Barbarian kind of thing. Yeah, I remember. I used to watch that. They had a woman on there that was she was like a what do they call that? A sorceress. I remember there was a sorceress on that. This video's from yesterday, 7 event. This is from yesterday. Yeah, I remember Johnny Quest. Y'all going in on Umar. Yeah, we're gonna do it in 3 months. It's gonna get done in 3 months. Jackman says the problem with many of our people is that we look and listen too much to television and the mainstream media to tell us how to think. That's a major problem. Yeah, I think that's a lot of people though. I used to talk a lot about the mainstream media, but also there's a lot of alternative stuff that's really out there too. I'm old school Popeye. I actually watched Popeye, Mighty Mouse. I remember Mighty Mouse, Tom and Jerry. Yeah, and Flintstone. I didn't tell. If you go and look at the Tom and Jerry though today as an adult, you'll see it was really violent. I mean, they would go at each other and do all kind of crap. I think about it now. It's like a lot of that stuff was so violent, but I enjoyed it. Tom and Jerry was one of the most violent television. Yeah. Yeah, no, I couldn't because and this will be it. We'll I'll set up the second show. I'm setting it up right now. Let me just address this and we'll be done. You have to clear my throat. So I talked about this to start this video today. That there was a time where I was a Joe. Well, I wouldn't say that. I was raised as a Joe, but I never believed in it, and I actually found it to be boring sitting in because there were so many things that we had to do each week. And I even remember sitting in the Kingdom Hall, and they would be talking, and I would just be in my own world in my mind. I'll be, like making up music in my head or thinking about cartoons or whatever. It just wasn't for me. I think by the time I was probably about 14 or 15, my mom didn't go as much, but I never felt like, I remember I used to fake like I was asleep so I could stay home. Anyway, but it's a high demand religion. And so there's certain things that you cannot do that normal people would just normally do and wouldn't think anything of it, And one of the things that they talked a lot about was like cartoons, and they talked about certain cartoons as being demonic, and they would say demonized. That's the word that was used. I don't know if they still use that word, the terminology these days, but a lot of stuff is they classified as demonized. You're not supposed to engage it. You're not supposed to deal with it. It's worldly, and in general, the large society was of the world, and they didn't know the truth, and Jehovah's Witnesses knew the truth, so you shouldn't interact with them. And the idea to when I'm thinking about it now was really to set up this notion that Jehovah's Witnesses were pure and they were superior to the rest of the world because the rest of the world was going to hell in a handbasket, and Armageddon is coming anyway. I mean, it's really some fascinating stuff, and then as a child to be hearing these types of things, it can be very damaging. But one of the things that I found interesting was a lot of the restrictions that they had in place. When I think about it now as an adult, I realized that it didn't make any sense. And one of the things was that certain cartoons, you couldn't watch certain cartoons. And one of those cartoons was specifically the Smurfs. Matter of fact, it just comes to mind now. I remember we weren't supposed to have Garbage Pail Kids. You remember the Garbage Pail Kids, the cards? Because a lot of the stuff was like graphic. Some of it was sexual too, and for children to have. And I get that. I can understand. But it's just that things were, it went to the extreme. Everything was so far over the top. And then to tell the child that they can't do certain things like watch the Smurfs, or you can't have extracurricular activities where you're involved in a sports league, or you can't go play basketball or football. You can't go do it in gymnastics or any of that type of stuff, because all that was considered to be of the world. And in some cases, they would classify things as being demonic, and they would use the term that it was demonized. And Smurfs was one of the cartoons that they classified as demonized. I don't know if they still would do that or if they still do that these days, but those types of restrictions, a lot of it was over the top. And so I couldn't watch Smurfs growing up. There was other stuff I couldn't watch too, but Smurfs stands out because Smurfs was really popular at a certain point. Really interesting stuff. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning on into this live stream. Let me just say this, that I do plan on live streaming during the week more consistently once these kids go back to school. And then I just got to get with my work schedule. If I look tired, it's because I did like 38 hours in 3 days, and I'll be so worn out, but you got to do what you got to do, right? I want to thank you all so much for tuning on in. We'll do part 2 in about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and we'll finish this up. And if we have some time left over, we can get to some other things, but you guys should plan on me being on here more consistently during the week as my schedule adjusts and once these kids go back to school. Thanks everyone who sent in super chats. Also, thanks to our moms for tuning on in. And yeah, real quick, Tom and Jerry was not only violent, but it was also very racist. And this is very true. Yeah. They had the mammy archetype figure, which was the maid in the household where Tom and Jerry would run around and beat up on each other. And they never, I don't think they ever showed her face, if my memory serves me, but they had her, and it was like a, have you guys seen, because I watched it recently, that Spike Lee movie, what is it called? Bamboozled. And they show a lot of the caricatures and the blackface caricatures, but a lot of the stuff that people used to buy, that white people used to buy that stuff. And it was these depictions of enslaved African or descendants of Africans, and they would have dark black skin and big lips, red lips, and they would be smiling. They still do that shit these days too, because there's this commercial that be coming on Disney Plus with this guy. He just walk. He don't even say anything, but he's just smiling. Anybody seen this commercial? He's really dark skinned and he's walking around. I don't know if it's a phone commercial or some shit, but he just grinning and smiling. He don't even say no. I think it's for like a dental program, or I don't know what it is. And I just sat back. I said, this ain't no different than what they used to do back in the day, And it's sad. It's so unfortunate. But they have that mammy character in there. I don't think they ever showed her face. At least I don't remember them showing her face. They may have, but she was like the maid. And she would be walking through the house or running through the house, but she would see and all that is a throwback to that old racist stuff when they used to depict black people as these certain caricatures. A lot of that stuff was just horrible, so horrible and so unnecessary. Yeah, I remember that for sure. Okay, thank you all again for tuning on. We'll be tuning on in. We'll be back in about minstrel shows. She would say Thomas talking to the cat. And we knew it was a black woman, sometimes they wouldn't even show any of it. They would just show her feet, but we knew because we could tell by her voice. Oh, it's just so ridiculous. Yeah. Like Amos and Andy. Yeah. She was a mammy with y'all remember? That was crazy when you think about it. The only female Smurf is Smurfette, and she was created by Gargan. Yep. I remember that. Yep. Okay. We'll be back in about, let's say 2 hours. I'm going to set up the other show right now. So hopefully you guys can tune back in. If not, that's okay. Check it out inside the archive. I want to thank everyone again for tuning on. Thanks everyone who sent in super chats. I appreciate that. And if you sent in cash apps or PayPal, thank you so much. And thanks to the mods for handling business too. I'll see y'all in a minute. Hope y'all enjoyed this live stream. Okay. Talk to y'all soon. Love y'all. Peace.